Greetings, everyone. Kind of slow on the mute button there, Ken.
Well, you're usually the one who speaks up first, Dale, unless you're muted. So I figured I'd give you the shot.
Yeah. Welcome, everyone. Dale Parrish, COS Indiana Live host, along with my co-host Ken Kashuba, our state communications coordinator. How you doing today, Ken?
I'm doing pretty good, Dale. I'm invigorated. How's that sound?
Are you really? Happy Veterans Day to all you veterans. I want to get that in there right off the bat, Ken. And Ken is going to be monitoring our viewer comments and questions tonight. So if any of you are watching our live stream on Facebook or through YouTube, drop us a comment or a question. Ken will take a look at that, and if he thinks you qualify, he'll flash it up, and we'll bring it on and talk about it. Ken, I want to get started right off the bat here this evening, and I want to. We got a lot to get to you tonight, folks. So first thing I want to bring up is our state director, Mr. Dale Tipton. Hello, Dale.
Greetings, gentlemen.
Hey. Dale is, I always like to bring Dale up at the beginning of the month, as much as possible at least, and have him come on and give us an update on how our state did for the prior month. So Dale, tell us how did Convention of States Indiana shape up in the month of October?
Well, let's start off with your banners there, Dale.
Okay, first one. Action
reports 230, a fairly decent number. Our record, I think, is 309. Just an indication of activity at different levels. So
this is all different types of activity that we engage in.
Yeah. Everything we do. Okay. Talking to legislators, going to meetings, going to gun shows, anything that's COS related, we claim it.
Okay. All right. And there's Vicki Mooring again.
Vicky's, ever since we've been doing this, Vicky's region has been the top statistical region. So she has a streak going, and it continues.
Well, she does dynasty.
She does an outstanding job, I'll tell you. Yeah. And I some of these names are pop up every month too.
Yeah, you see some repeats there. David Nally, Gary Spielman, Diane Jones, and Robert Aronson, all great volunteers. Steadily working away out there. So it's nice to see some of those repeat names.
Good deal. Well, we keep moving up here in the numbers.
Yeah, the petition signers and supporters continues to grow month by month. I remember it wasn't long ago we were talking about breaking 70,000 for supporters, and pretty soon we'll be looking at that same goal for petition signers.
Yeah, that's a good sign. This is district captains and region captains. This is something that I know we've been striving for a long time to increase. So this is looking good.
Yeah, 19 for DCs, 8 for region captains. Rich Loken just came back to join us as a region captain, so we'd missed him. His employment has finally allowed him a little more space and time, so he's back with us. So we're happy to have him.
Yeah, Richard has been with us a long time. He's a challenge coin recipient, as a matter of fact, up in the Plymouth area, I believe. Yeah. Up in that area.
Yeah, Constitution coach as well.
Yeah, glad to have him back. Well, this is Ken and I. So we did set a new record in October for views and followers. So we're really, really pleased and proud of those numbers.
Yeah, you guys keep getting close to challenging my goal already. So you're going to make me adjust it here by June if we don't.
Oh, that would be just like you to adjust the goal once we get close to it.
That's called moving the goalposts, isn't it, Dale?
Is that? I think that's what it is. Yeah.
I suppose it would be, but it spells success either way, does it not?
By the way, our goal is 250,000 views. That's what we're shooting for, and 16,000 followers. That's what we're our goal for 2025. And Dale's already threatening to change it if we get close to it. So anyway, we'll see how that goes.
You bet.
Well, we had a strategy meeting in October, Dale.
You bet. We had about probably close to 30 people there, 25-ish, I think. Enjoyed some good time together. One of the few times we get to meet each other face to face. Nice to get off of a Zoom call and be able to talk to people directly. Generated some good goals for the coming year. Enjoyed some great pizza, and had a great presentation from Christy Stutzman on how to deal with our legislators. So it was a good day, I think.
All right, good deal. Well, I think that'll be a wrap, Dale, and I know we've got goals all set for 2025, and so we're already working on it. Actually, 2025, we're already working on those, right?
That's correct. Yeah, it started the 1st of November.
All right, Dale. Thank you very much for coming on.
You bet.
Thank you, and have a good day.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
See you.
All right, Ken. Always good for Dale to give us an update there. Well, listen, speaking of the strategy meeting, we had an opportunity, as you recall, to interview some new leaders. Some of these people are not new to COS, but they're new in some of the leadership roles that they're in. And we had an opportunity to briefly talk to 3 of them. And I wanted to bring them on and show everybody these are just very short interviews with them, just to introduce them to everyone. And the first one that I want to introduce is Bob Aronson. Am I saying that right? Aronson?
Yep, you got it right.
Yeah, and he's up in the. I know he's up in the. Where am I looking for? Crown Point area, isn't it?
Yeah, he's up in the very northwest corner.
Okay, all right. Okay, well let's bring Bob on now.
Well, greetings everyone. Dale Parrish with COS Indiana Live. We're here in Anderson, Indiana today at our 2025 strategy meeting for COS Indiana. So I wanted to take the opportunity to meet with and interview new leaders that have come into our ranks here recently. And so I'm taking the opportunity to introduce one of our new district captains, Bob Aronson.
That's right.
Okay, I got it right this time. Okay. Bob, tell us your COS story, the how, when, where, and why you got involved in convincing the states.
Well, so I'm the district captain in House District 19. I've spent my entire career practicing medicine. Last year, after retiring from medicine, I asked myself, what should I do now to help our country and help our children? And I decided that the answer was working with the Convention of States. Now, why do I support the Convention of States? There are 35 trillion reasons why. The national debt is hollowing out the middle class, stealing our children's future, and yet the professional political class keeps spending to buy votes, and at the same time we're losing our freedom. The Founding Fathers knew that big centralized government leads to tyranny, and so our Constitution was written to give only limited enumerated powers to the central government, with everything else to be limited to the states and the people. Unfortunately, due to years of activist judges distorting the meaning of constitutional text, power shifted to a centralized administrative state. So what to do? Elections are critically important, and election integrity efforts are critically important this year, because without election integrity, we have no country. But elections at best only give a temporary respite, and what one president does, the next president can undo. After the Tea Party elections failed to create meaningful change, I realized that we needed some type of long-term structural change. And that's why I became involved with the Convention of States. Article 5 of the Constitution gives authority for the states to bypass Washington and to convene a Convention of the States to propose amendments to limit federal power and do the things that we know need to be done to get the power back in balance and to impose fiscal responsibility. So in 2016, when Indiana was considering passing the legislation, I called my state representative and asked him to support the Convention of States legislation, which he did. So now that I'm retired, I'm not working crazy doctor hours anymore. I'm volunteering as a district captain. Now, citizens who would like to contact me should just go to conventionofstates.com, sign the petition, and based on their location, they'll hear from me or their local district captain.
Bob, where is District 19 located in Indiana? Just kind of a general vicinity.
In Northwest Indiana.
Northwest Indiana, okay.
Right.
All right. So what are some of the main towns in your district?
Well, Crown Point is the center, and
Okay.
so and there are a number like Maryville and other towns surrounding it.
All right, all right. So if you're a supporter or not yet a supporter of COS in Bob's district, get in contact with him. He'd love to have your help and support in carrying out the COS mission in that district. So, Bob, thank you very much and welcome to COS.
Thank you, Dale.
Thank you.
Well, a retired doctor, you know he was long-winded, so he hasn't retired from that. Okay.
Outside matter, Dale.
Yeah, yeah. All right. Well, the next person that we have that we interviewed is Catherine, and you know I say her name incorrectly. I want to say Zemanek, but I don't think it's pronounced that way. Is it, Ken? Do you know? Zemanek, I think it is.
Zemanek, yeah.
Catherine, anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, well let's meet Catherine.
Everyone, Dale Parrish with COS Indiana Live. We are here today in Indiana, in Anderson, Indiana, attending our 2025 strategy meeting for COS Indiana. And we wanted to take this opportunity to meet with and briefly interview some of our new leaders that have come into COS. Now we have here today a young lady. She has been a part of Convention of States for some time, but has recently moved to Indiana. So we wanted to get her on. Her name's Catherine Zemanek. Mm-hmm. And Catherine is our regional director. So she plays in a very important role, but I understand she's also taken on the role of district captain here in Indiana. So we'll get to all that, but first of all, Catherine, tell us your COS story, the how, when, where, and why you got involved in the Convention of States.
Sure, be happy to. So I was involved with the Tea Party starting in 2010, and I really was looking for an organization that had calls to action, made a difference. And I stumbled upon Convention of States actually online and listening to Mark Levin around 2014. And I went to a local meeting and I immediately jumped in with both feet as a legislative liaison in Michigan. And from there, I took on the state director role in Michigan, and I did that for about a year and a half, and then I was called up to be a regional director for 6 states. At that time, it was Iowa, Idaho, Wisconsin, Ohio, Minnesota, and then I took on Michigan and Indiana, which I have right now.
All right, all right. Now, you know, you mentioned Mark Levin. So I personally was also impressed by Mark Levin, and he is one of the main reasons I joined Convention of States as well. So he's had had great influence on a lot of people in
For
COS,
sure.
I think so. Now,
Continues to, right?
yes, and he continues to. He's a very, very avid supporter of Convention of States. Now, Catherine, I understand you've also, in addition to your other duties, have also taken on the role of a district captain.
Yes.
So what district are you in charge of?
I am in Indiana House District 24. That is in Westfield, Zionsville, and a little bit of Carmel, I believe.
All right. So anyone that's a supporter in that area or anyone wanting to become involved in Convention of States, this is the person that you can contact. And how can they contact you?
Sure, you can call me at 989-573-3628. Be happy to connect. Always looking to have coffee with fellow supporters of Convention of States. We can meet, and I'm trying to actually get a little group together. I'd like to have about 25 active people in the Westfield area who are willing to go to the state capitol with me.
All right. Catherine, thank you for your leadership.
Thank you,
I'm
Dale.
glad we finally got around to talking with you and meeting with
Absolutely.
you. So
Great to be here today.
thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, we've been trying to get her on for some time when she first took over as regional director.
Yeah. And there was a comment by by one of our other leaders, which you're very familiar with, Gary Harbaugh, said that you should just call her CZ.
CZ. That's a good idea.
Easy for everybody to handle, and he said even he can handle that. So
CZ. So okay. I've already forgotten how she pronounced her name. So I like that CZ. We'll certainly try that out. Well, we had another individual there that we wanted to interview that day, and his name is Jeff Kilgren. So without any further delay, Ken, let's bring Jeff on and introduce him to everyone.
Okay. Well, greetings, Dale Parish, COS Indiana Live. We're here in Anderson, Indiana, attending our 2025 strategy meeting for COS Indiana. So I wanted to take the opportunity here to talk to some of our new leaders here in Indiana, and I thought this would be a good time to briefly chat with some of these new leaders. Now we have today, this gentleman is not really a new leader, I should say. Jeff Kilgren is with me today, and Jeff's kind of got a storied background, but I wanted to bring him on. You're a district captain as well right now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, we'll get into that in just a moment. But Jeff, tell us your COS story, the how, when, where you got involved in Convention of States.
Thank you, Dale. I was in the Army for 21 years, and when I got out of the Army, I was working, as many of us do, as a defense contractor. I was driving near Chicagoland one day and heard on the radio this crazy-sounding guy named Mark Levin. And he was talking about something I had never heard of called Article 5 and recommending people contact Convention of States to rein in the federal government. And the whole time I had been in the military, we always had to take an oath to support and defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And always in the back of my mind was, how do we do that against domestic enemies? Obviously, we can't shoot them. So how do we support the Constitution against domestic enemies? And when I heard Mark Levin talking about Convention of States and Article 5, the light bulb finally came on that this was the tool the founders gave us to fight domestic enemies of our Constitution and our way of life. So I reached out to my home state of Indiana, got in contact with Diane Gomez, who was state director at the time. I helped in a very tiny way to help us get passed in Indiana, and then the military relocated me. I ended up in South Carolina. We helped to pass it there, and fate brought me back to Indiana to help my aging mother, and now I'm back in the fight here to keep things going in Indiana. So that's my COS story, David.
That's great. Thank you very much, Jeff. Thank you for your service, first of all. And, so many of us have different reasons for coming into Convention of States. And Mark Levin was a great influence on me personally to join Convention of States as well. So I relate a lot to what Jeff had to say. So Jeff, now I understand you're actually part of our national group, aren't you? Okay, but you're also now a district captain here in Indiana. So what district are you in charge of?
Well, I'm in Marion, and my state senator is Andy Zay out of Huntington, and my state representative is Lori Goss Reeves out of Jalapa. And I've had the opportunity to meet with both of them, good people. So I want to help them get good legislation through our legislature.
Okay, so you're in the Marion area,
Yep.
that part of the state. So any supporters or people wanting to join Convention of States and help support you, how do they get a hold of you?
They can find me on Facebook. I'm the only Jeff Kilgren on Facebook, probably one of the few Kilgrens on Facebook. But you can contact me on Facebook. You can find me through the database, or you can contact me 765-669-1276. I'm in Marion, Indiana, Grant County.
Very good, very good. Jeff, once again, thank you for your service and welcome to Convention of States here in Indiana.
Thanks, Dave.
Thank you.
All right. 3 new district captains. A couple of them been in Convention of States for some time. So,
Taking on multiple roles. That's always
yeah. I'm glad we finally got around to. We did those interviews back at the strategy meeting, which was October 5th. So we've been sitting on those for a little while, but finally got around to presenting them. Okay, I want to quickly move on here, and I'm going to introduce everyone now to 2 young, up-and-coming COS leaders. And these are basically both of them are in college students, and going into law school. One's already in law school. So I want to introduce these young people to you. We always try to, whenever we got a young up-and-coming COS leader, we always try to focus on those individuals. So we need the youngins. We need the young people, Ken, as you can imagine. So,
Yep, sure enough.
So let's. I want to bring on this first one. This young lady's name is Maya Phillips. Now she's been involved in COS back when she was in high school here in our area, or my area here in the Fort Wayne area. She's now moved on, but I hope you'll enjoy this. And she's a very, very intelligent young lady. So I'm going to bring her on now. Greetings, everyone. Dale Parrish, COS Indiana Live host. And as I mentioned to you prior to this recording, I have with me Miss Maya Phillips. Hi, Maya.
Hello. Hi, thank you for having me on, Dale.
So welcome. You're so welcome. We always like to keep track of Maya. Maya is a homegrown, Indiana-grown COS conservative, and she's just embarking on a fabulous career. And we just from time to time want to touch base and see how she's doing. So, Maya, let's for the viewers that maybe are not familiar with you, that haven't met you before, give us a little brief synopsis on your background.
Yeah, so like you said, I am homegrown, raised in Indiana, and while there, I had a family who was very involved in politics, so I kind of got to learn and wrestle with these issues very early on. And as I started getting older and started considering pursuing a career in law and politics, my dad, who was really involved with Convention of States in Indiana, introduced me to it. And I just knew it was something that I really wanted to be involved in. It was a lot of really great people doing amazing work. So In high school, I got involved and became the Young Americans for Convention of States coordinator, which was a new role at the time. So it was really exciting because I really got to kind of shape it and kind of got to plan what the role would look like and got to engage with a lot of young people about Convention of States and just constitutional issues in general.
Yes, yes. There was a program, excuse me, it was a program that Convention of States put on, and I think it was Young People for COS, I believe was the name of the program. And Maya served as our Y4COS leader here in the state. I guess it was pretty much during your senior year of high school. Am I right, or somewhere in there?
Yeah, I was gonna say the summer and before my senior year, and then my senior year of high school as well.
Okay. But yeah, she went out and engaged some groups in the area, and to tell them about Convention of States, did a great job. Hated to see her leave, but we knew that she had bigger and better things going for her. I just want to mention your parents. Paul is part of our national group, is a legislative associate, and your mother is a region events coordinator. Just saw both of them this past Saturday at our annual strategy meeting. So
yes, I was gonna say we're a family of COS patriots. My younger brother also was an Indiana COS intern as well while he was in high school. So
that's
yes,
right.
we love Convention of States. We love being involved with it.
Tell us again now. I know you touched on it briefly, but how did you first get involved in Convention of States? Tell us your COS story, the how, when, where you got involved with COS.
Yeah, so my dad first discovered Convention of States and got really involved with it. Kind of did the whole thing where he became a regional district captain, then became regional captain, then went a little bit higher in leadership, then ended up going to nationals. And while he was working in the Indiana leadership, he would always talk to me about the issues they were working on. He knew I wanted to go to law school. He knew that I loved politics. I spent a lot of high school shadowing for senators, working with the representatives, and then being engaged in kind of the Republican Party. So he knew my interest in politics and my desire to go to law school. So he introduced me to Convention of States. I went to a couple of events, really loved talking with the people there, and really had a passion for what Convention of States was doing. So he had me volunteer. He told me about this new position that Convention of States was opening up. And so I applied and was able to fill that role in high school. And I've continued being involved with Convention of States. In college, I was an intern for the national leadership with Convention of States in their Emergence Leaders program. So that was a really great experience, just meeting people of similar age and with a similar mindset. And Convention of States has really been what helped me kind of launch my internships and my careers, and it really has given me a great community that's allowed me to do a bunch of other really cool stuff outside of Convention of States.
All right. Were you in any kind of an intern relationship with any legislator in Indianapolis at the state legislature?
Yes, I was able to shadow Ben Smalls for a little bit, and I know he's a great supporter of Convention of States, so it was very cool talking to him, and he was also our representative as well.
Yes. Maya and her family are from the Auburn, Indiana area, and Representative Smaltz is the representative for that area, that district, I should say. So. Yes. Well, okay. I knew I seem to remember that, so I thought I had mentioned that to you. Okay. So and I might also mention you were homeschooled, right?
Yes, I was homeschooled. Yep. So it gave me a lot of opportunities to do a lot of really cool service work and just be involved kind of in our political system as well.
Okay. All right. Folks, don't you wish we had more young people like this?
I can say encouragingly, I've met a lot of very similar young people, so they definitely are out there and they are growing.
They are? Okay, I'll take your word for it. All right. Okay, now tell us, bring us up to date on your education. I know, like I said, you were homeschooled. You graduated from high school, and take it from there. Where did you go from there?
Yeah, so being homeschooled and being involved in Convention of States, individual who is a huge advocate, or actually one of the founders of Convention of States, and was a huge advocate for legalizing homeschooling, was Michael Ferris. And I learned through Convention of States actually that he started a college in Virginia right outside DC. So after going there and visiting and just seeing how great of a community it is, how it has a very strong foundation in the founding of America and the conservative principles that I adhere to, and that it sends a lot of really incredible people to law school, I decided to attend there. And I spent 3 years there studying political theory. And then in 2023, I graduated and am now at Washington and Lee University School of Law. I had a couple of people from Patrick Henry College attend this law school, and it is about 2 hours south of DC. So it's in a really great location, and I've just been absolutely enjoying my time here.
Have you? Well,
Yes.
do you like that area of the country? Do you like that?
Yes, I love Indiana, but I have really been enjoying my time in Virginia on the East Coast and kind of in the DC area. So at the short term at least, I plan on staying there after law school.
Okay. All right.
Mhm.
Now, you went to Patrick Henry, and you're in law school now. Now, have you been able to, am I correct? I call this work experience, that you've been able to experience some internships, haven't you? Am I using
Yes,
the right term?
absolutely. Yes, absolutely. So I was about 50 minutes outside of DC when attending Patrick Henry College, and actually through my internship with the Convention of States, the national organization, their Emerging Leaders program, I was able to help make some connections. And I know Mark Meckler really helped me get a couple of internships that were really valuable experience. One of them was interning for the national team at the Federalist Society. And the Federalist Society is a national organization that's committed to free speech and debate. And so a lot of young conservative libertarian attorneys and law students are all part of the Federalist Society. I'm part of our chapter at Washington and Lee. I'm about to go in November to their National Lawyers Convention in DC, which is just a bunch of attorneys and law students who are part of the Federalist Society. So being able to intern for them in undergrad was a really great experience, just to get some writing experience and meet more people that are like-minded. Another really amazing experience that I got was through working with America First Policy Institute. It is a lot of President Trump's former administration. So while there, I got to work on 2 amicus briefs, and then I got to work on op-eds and policies, and I even got to meet the former president himself, which was a great experience as
Did you
well.
really? Really?
Yes.
Wow. Well, that's great. Have you written anything? Have you written any articles or essays or anything that have been published or anything like that yet?
Yes, I wrote an op-ed that was published on America First Policy's website, and it was about inflation and how the cost of living is rising after COVID and with the Biden administration's new economic policies. And then I've also wrote a brief that was submitted that is currently on appeal in the circuit court for President Trump's lawsuit against Twitter. And then I also wrote one about religious freedom violations on forced vaccination in the military. So both of those briefs were a great experience. And one of my favorite moments was in my constitutional law class at law school. My professor is extremely liberal, and she even pulled up the Twitter brief to complain about it and its policies. So it felt like a great flex to say that my brief or a brief I helped with was complained about by a liberal professor. I feel like that's the mark of every good conservative.
Oh my goodness, my goodness. Well, that's great. Well, good. I tell everybody, one of these days I expect to see you on TV as a talking head. I just know it's going to happen. Well, as I mentioned to you, when we got ready to do this interview, you're on the East Coast.
Yes.
You're in the DC area. What kind of challenges have you encountered being a hard-nosed conservative from the Midwest? What kind of challenges can you think of a few challenges that you've had to overcome?
Yeah, absolutely. So I will say that I reaped the benefit of going to a Christian conservative undergrad, in that a lot of the challenges I now face in law school, I did not have to face in undergrad. So I'm very thankful that I got to build that strong foundation in an environment that wasn't hostile before coming to law school. Law field in general is extremely left leaning. A lot of my professors are very, very liberal. I remember for law school, we had a full week of DEI training where we had to learn how to unlearn our unconscious biases and kind of just learn about the racism that we are all facing, or at least
Really,
non-white
really.
individuals are facing. Yes. And so after I spent a week of that, and then every month we would also have a follow-up DEI training just to make sure that we are implementing the principles that they have. A lot of my professors in general are very liberal leaning. I remember even on one of my con law tests, one of the questions was, why is conservative or why is originalism the incorrect viewpoint? So even just kind of tests themselves are very skewed towards a certain way. And then the student body, I have found a small community of really great Christian and conservative law students here at my law school, but a lot of the student body in general is very left leaning. So just kind of learning to navigate that, your viewpoint, and still being able to be on a amicable level with them.
Now,
So,
when you encounter test questions like some that you just described, do you answer those honestly, or do you try to answer in a way that the professor is going to accept, or how do you navigate that?
yeah, I think that's definitely a question that, from talking to other peers in law school, they've all faced as well. I think that's part of being an attorney, is that you're gonna get law that you don't agree with. You're gonna get policies that you don't like. But part of being an attorney is being able to defend your client the best you can with what you got. So when I do encounter questions like that, I think understanding what the professor is asking and finding a way to answer it, so I can sit there and I can poke holes in originalism and reasons why people don't like it, but I can also sit there and be like, but here's this viewpoint and here's why people like it. So I think that is one of the benefits of being in a more liberal environment, since I come from very conservative friendly environments, is I'm getting to see the other side and I'm getting to strengthen my viewpoint and learn
So
kind of why our viewpoint's correct.
is that approach acceptable then? I mean, is that evidently that's acceptable, huh?
It works sometimes. I know I do have friends who did the opposite and really went against the test question, or went against their types of test questions. And once people found out that they were conservative, they have been penalized for it with grades. I
Really?
know, yes, I just recently went through the interview process for jobs, and I know that I've had friends and even some individuals that I was interviewing with, once they figured out I had a conservative background or I went to a conservative school, we were rejected from those jobs. So I mean,
Wow.
a conservative in that sense, once people figure it out, since the law field is more hostile, you do have to accept that you are going to miss out on opportunities. I think what's really helped me stay strong to my beliefs is that I have a strong foundation from Patrick Henry College, from my parents, from being part of Convention of States, that I know my viewpoint and I know why I believe in it. But also by staying strong in my principles, I've been able to find other individuals with those principles, and I've been able to find opportunities in community that is a lot better for me to be in, because they're not going to hold my principles against me.
Good for you. Good for you, young lady. We're about out of time. Very quickly, what's your future plans right now?
Yeah, so my future plan, I currently have a job lined up with a big law firm in Washington, D.C. They do a lot of really cool work. They do a lot of appellate work, which is really great. And I have some alumni from Patrick Henry College who have the same viewpoint as me who are working there. So I'm excited to be able to go work at that firm and just kind of learn from these individuals and being able to be a real lawyer, which is exciting. And I am currently in my second year of law school, so I will be graduating in 2026, and that's what I'll be afterwards.
Okay. Well, we're out of time. I just want to wish you the best of luck. You're going to be home for Christmas?
I will be, yes. I'm excited.
All right, good.
to
Hope to see you when you're home here.
Yes.
So, Maya, thank you so much for coming in and talking with us today. We always love touching base with you, and I hope we'll be able to do it again in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you again.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Isn't she dynamic? She's a dynamic young lady, isn't she?
I tell you, Dale, she's, people have asked me, would you, are you against voting for a female for president?
There you go. Yeah.
Female I would vote for president. She's definitely just a very strong and well-informed lady. And at this point, I think she's gonna do a lot of great things.
I didn't bring this up to her, but I saw, like I said, I saw her mother and dad at the strategy meeting, and I asked her mother, well, has Maya got any boyfriend lined up or anything out there? And she said, no, she can't find anybody that's a conservative. They're all liberal. So
you know what? I think that's slowly changing. I think we're starting to see a bit of a turnover there.
Hopefully that will be changing here. Yeah. Yes. But always great to touch base with Maya. Now, this next young COS person we have here is a young man. His name is Hunter Oswald. He's from Ohio, down in the Cincinnati area. And he's been recommended to me as a real up-and-coming COS leader. He just finished college, and I think he's looking at going into law school. So I think this young man is going to be another outstanding COS person. So I had the opportunity to interview him, and I wanted to introduce him to everyone and bring him on now. So let's, without further delay, Hunter Oswald from Convention Estates in Ohio. I think I'm right in the Cincinnati area. So let's bring him on, Ken. Well, hello, everyone. Dale Parrish, COS Indiana Live host. I got a really special guest for you today. We always like to recognize young and upcoming COS leaders. And I've been told that this young man in the Cincinnati, Ohio area is a real up-and-coming young man in Convention Estates. So I want to take some time today to chat with him and introduce him to you. So without further ado, let me bring on Mr. Hunter Oswald. Hello, Hunter.
How you doing?
Good. Glad to have you today, bud. Glad to have you.
Thanks for having me on.
No problem. Like I said, we always like to highlight any young and up and coming leaders in Convention Estates. So, Hunter, tell us a little bit about your background, where you're located, just something about yourself and your background.
Yeah, so as you said, I'm from Cincinnati, Ohio. So I'm actually from the greater Cincinnati area. So I live in the suburbs of the Cincinnati region. So for a lot of those, that's including areas like Butler. So I'm like in Butler County, and Cincinnati is in Hamilton. But of course, Cincinnati being Cincinnati has to dominate all of Hamilton. So I get the best parts of Cincinnati, which are the suburbs. So lived here my entire life, all 23 years. And now I am back in the Cincinnati area from college and, grew up, as I said, born August 16, 2001, raised here. you know, got involved in the community, was in Boy Scouts, got involved in any way to make an impact in my community. Um, you know, high school, I attended Lakota East High School. And after that, I went to college with Grove City College in Pennsylvania. A lot of people say Grove City College. It's like, yeah, not Ohio, Pennsylvania. So
Okay, hold on to that because we're going to get to the education part here pretty soon. But and I want you to go into some detail on that. I just have one question about your upbringing. Are you a Bengals fan?
of course, yeah.
Oh,
No,
you are.
You couldn't be a proper Cincinnati's fan without supporting Bengals, and of course being a Cincinnati Reds fan, which
Oh,
it was hard to hear the passing of Pete Rose, who was
yes, I just saw that. Yeah.
tremendous figure in my upbringing because my father played baseball, so not hearing about Pete Rose was almost like a crime to not know the story of Pete Rose and the big red machine. So
Johnny Bench too, right?
Johnny Bench,
Yeah.
Joe Morgan.
Oh yes, yes. I'd forgot about Joe Morgan. Yes. Oh yeah, there were some great baseball players that came out of the Reds. I remember them well. I'm a bit older than you, but so I remember them very well. Okay, very good. Now let's talk about your education. And you went to high school in your area there, and you went to Grove City. Tell us about how you got to this college, Grove City.
So Grove City College is located in Pennsylvania. I know there's another one also located in the Ohio area, but I went to Grove City College, Pennsylvania. And the way I heard about Grove City College is actually through a bunch of people that I knew, because I knew I wanted to get in a political science program. And I knew that, it's all with everything going on in our country, it's hard to, find a really good political science that's not going to be biased or, stifle thought. So I really focused on wanting to become part of like a Christian conservative college that was going to offer me the best opportunities I could possibly have. And so somebody said, hey, people were, because at the time I was thinking, maybe Hillsdale College, I really like their program. And then they're like, hey,
very familiar with Hillsdale. Yes.
If you wanted to go to Hillsdale, but, you should also consider Grove City College, Pennsylvania. I was like, sure thing. So visited them, really liked their program. And when I graduated from high school in 2020, I decided to go with Grove City College. So went there, got my BA in political science, and also I got 3 minors in economics, national security studies, and history.
3 minors. Now, I don't think I've ever heard of that.
Yeah. Well, that's what they call it, the college, the Grover mindset, which is, a lot of the people there, students, academic, all the faculty, very much a rigorous education. So a lot of people there are very much dedicated to their studies. And so being a part of the Grover culture, I was like, you know what? If I'm going to be here for 4 years, why not make the most of it?
There you go. I assume this is a small school.
Yes. So I would say it's around 2,000 students.
Is it? Okay.
So it's about a city block. So it is small, but it's not, there's plenty of space. You can actually do things. It's not where it's like, okay, you see like some of these cities where it's just literally one building, but no, it's an amazing place. So the culture there, I really enjoyed, especially because it is focused on how we, not only from a Christian point of view, but as well as just focusing on the community as itself within the school, as well as the surrounding area, and, helping, become part of that community. So it was an amazing experience.
Hunter, tell me, how did you develop an interest in political science? Was it political science? Was that the actual major that you pursued?
Yeah, that's the actual major. So
how did that come about?
Yeah, so I've always had a passion for. I'm a huge history buff, and so I was always interested in learning about the past. And originally I thought, maybe I'd go to college to become, major in history and become like a history teacher or a history professor one day. And then I was
Right.
like, over the years, I was like, I also developed the passion of wanting to help others. So, and the thing is, I also love to learn. So combining both my passions for learning about the past as well as trying to find ways to help others in the future, that's where I started realizing, where are the best possible areas to make the most impact in my community. And so that's when I started learning what political science had to offer and understanding not just the history of, different types of government, but also just understanding human nature itself and
Okay.
learning how, societies form, how people come together and try to find ways to allocate power. How do people get to power? How do they take power? And then how do they maintain that power? So all these type of questions, really fascinated me. And so then I began to learn the opportunities, you know, whether that's people going to law school or getting involved in their community as a campaign, individual. There's just a lot of opportunities there. So when I started seeing what political science had to offer, that's where I knew, yeah, I wanted to do political science because I know I can see myself in the future becoming a part of, one of those occupations.
Were your parents an influence on you, or did you have teachers that were heavily influencers?
Yeah, so my parents were have always been a huge influence in my life. So, my dad, he's in law enforcement, and my mother,
Oh,
she's
okay.
she's in the medical field.
Oh, okay.
So, coming from that background, I got to see how law with my dad, like how did the law work? How did law enforcement actually work rather than people, hear days like with all the problems in the world, oh, well, this is how law enforcement actually works. Like, well, it's a lot different when you're actually living through it day by
Sure.
day. And then seeing on the medical end of things, how, people get their health care, how does the process work, and with those, just seeing how my parents were and the values they've ingrained in me, that really did shape the way in which, I knew I wanted to help people. I wanted to become, as I said, become part of my community and make an impact.
Okay.
So my parents have always been a major influence on that front.
Well,
In,
good.
in terms of my education, there were definitely a few teachers that have played a major part in my life. In eighth grade, my history teacher, Mr. Fortman, he really saw that I had a deep interest in history and wanted to just say, hey, Hunter, here's extra opportunities to get involved outside of school with history. And I would, whether that was me writing a paper about a historical event related to the class, and, and this would have been American history at the time. So anything related to American history, anything that, and this was also back in 2016. So obviously, deep interest in how did the 2016 election, impact, any similarities, how are the candidates, all that type of stuff.
Oh, good.
And
Good.
so Mr. Fortman was very much involved in that aspect. And I've been very fortunate throughout my life to have people, out in school, out of school, in my family to really encourage me to pursue what I wanted. So, those are just a few of the names, but there's so many more individuals that have had a huge impact on my life, and
Oh, good.
can't thank them enough because at the end of the day, I wouldn't have become probably the person I am today.
All right. Well, tell us your COS story. Now, we've already talked about your life, so we don't have to go all over that again. But how, when, where did you come in contact with Convention of States?
So my Convention of State story, I would say began probably in 2012 because at a very young, as I said, I was always a huge history buff and started learning quickly about American politics. So in 2012, I began, started learning more about, who was running the presidential election at the time, Obama and Romney. Started, asking questions about more about American government. And at the same time, there was this group that everybody probably knows, the rise of the Tea Party movement, that really had a profound impact on my
Okay.
interest because it's like I never witnessed any kind of movement like this in my entire life, obviously being much younger. But another group came up and saw Mark Meckler mention at that time, or started beginning at the time, oh, there's this group called Convention of States. And so I was like, what's Convention of States? I've never heard of it. What's the goals? What's the aim of this group? And so began learning, okay, what's the process of COS? What's the history behind it? So that's where I started doing later over the past few years, like looking at primary sources, where that was the notes from James Madison from the Constitutional Convention in Philadelphia, whether that was George Mason, letters from George Mason, and looking at the Constitution itself and looking at what Article 5 of the Constitution actually said, rather than what just people said it was. So started, investigating more into that. And over the past many years since then, I've become more and more supportive of what Convention of States is, and realizing it's truly a mechanism by the people to enact effective change or reform within our constitutional order, and as well as address the problems of the current structural issues, and how can we as a nation make that positive change. And fortunately enough, we see that the founders gave us that mechanism of COS.
That's right. Right in Article 5 of the Constitution. That's correct. Well, I understand you're going to get involved further in the state there, participating with the communications end of the operation in Convention of States, Ohio. Tell me more about. We got to kind of wrap things up here, but tell me more about your future plans. What are you? What's next on your agenda? Your plans for the future?
So I'm actually currently in the process of applying to law schools. So I want to practice and study constitutional law. And so I see, as I said, I wanted an occupation that I knew was going to make a difference for my community as well as those around me. So I knew with my passions with the Constitution, with our nation, I knew I could see myself practicing constitutional law. So there's that end. And as you mentioned, I am currently in the process of volunteering on the media end of things. So in fact, as of now, I have a few articles out on Convention of States, Ohio, talking about addressing the runaway myth idea that a lot of opponents have had, plus recently addressing, the constitutional order of things in terms of, whether or not we as a nation can keep our republic if we are willing to defend our Constitution. So there's a lot of those projects in the works at the moment. So I'm really excited about that. Really excited now, just with everything going on. But those are the two major things going on personally. Okay. So as I said, definitely excited to continue my work with COS, and definitely excited to see what the future holds for me in terms of law school.
Do you have a particular law school that you would like to attend? Or
there are a few. So currently, Northern Kentucky University is one of them.
Okay.
Another one is University of Dayton, University of Louisville, and University of Kentucky. So those are kind of my top 4 law schools. But
okay.
But no, they're amazing places. As just recently visited them, great people. So can't wait to see what the future holds of which those options. But I'm definitely excited on that front. But.
All right. Well, good. Well, Hunter, we got to wrap it up here. It's been a pleasure meeting you, and I wish you the best of luck going forward. Thank you for joining Convention of States. We need young people like you to get involved and become future leaders, not only in Convention of States, but leaders in our country. So once again, thank you for your time today, and I want to wish you the best of luck. And I hope you'll come back a later time and touch base with us and give us an update on how things are progressing with your career. All right?
All right. Thank you so much, Dale.
Thank you. Have a good day.
You too.
All right, Ken. Another up and coming young man, I tell you, in COS. We're gonna hear more about him, I'm sure.
Yeah, encouraging to hear from the youth like that. So.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what. Let's wrap things up here, Ken. Coming up next week on COS Indiana Live on November 18th, I'm really hoping that we got a young lady that's going to talk to us about what's going on in Logansport, Indiana. We've all heard about Springfield, Ohio. Well, something similar is happening in Logansport, Indiana. So we're going to spend some time with this lady telling us about that. Debbie Stewart's going to come on and talk to us about the SAVE Act, which we may see coming back here very soon in the near future, I think. And of course, we'll have John Ackerman with COS Basics. We're not going to have time for John and COS Basics tonight, but we'll get him on next week for sure. So also just want to mention our next roundtable is coming up November 25th. It'll be part 2 of our Bill of Rights, Don't You Dare. In other words, things that are forbidden in the Bill of Rights, through the Bill of Rights. That's part 2, and that'll be our final live roundtable for 2024. So
It was coming to an end quick.
It is, Ken. It is. So if anyone's got any comments or questions tonight after our broadcast is over, feel free to drop us an email at raiseyourvoicecos@gmail.com. Is that you or me?
Not sure who that is. I think
I
it
don't
might
know who that
that message just turned off. But,
Anyway, raiseyourvoicecos@gmail.com.
Sounds good.
So, Ken, did we have any comments or questions that we need to put up? I know
everything that came up could be answered by either email or
okay,
right in the chat room. So,
all right. Well, folks, that'll be it for us tonight, and I want to thank everyone for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed tonight. We had a lot of videos, a lot of recordings in, but these are people that are important to our organization, and I wanted to get those in so that you can see who we have coming up and who these people are. So, everyone, have a good evening. Thank you, Ken, for joining us tonight, and everyone, have a good evening. Everyone, see you next week.
Good night.